Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm with John Mosier from 701st Combat Operations Squadron, prior squadron member, and we're still in Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm on what was previously known as Fort Omaha, and at the home of, I think it was a Brigadier General, last name was Crook, not Cook, but Crook, Crook, and I got the timeline in my hands, so I'm going to be doing a little cheat sheet. So it looks like in 18, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I'm going to want to do this for 15 minutes. 1868 is when this post comes into being, and it was totally rearranged in 1997. What it is today is it is an area for the Air Force. I'm not sorry, not Air Force, for the I believe Army, Navy, and Marine Corps Reserve use this installation now. The architecture is just unbelievable. It looks like a lot like Fort McPherson in Alabama, in Atlanta. I'm sorry, Atlanta, Georgia, Fort McPherson's architecture that I did some training at a couple of years ago. I believe, the college campus owns some of it now. I'm going to move inside, and it's going to be quick. There's a lot to see in there. There's a lot of history about it. But what I'm going to be pointing out to you is a lot of the design, interior design, and architectural design that was somewhat familiar in the home that I lived in when I was at March Air Force Base at the house on 164 Plummer. And when I get to, I'll point these things out. Which my house, this was built 1860s, 1870s. The house I lived on at March was built in 1930s. But some of the nuances are very similar. So follow along with me. If you visited me at my home when I was at March Air Force Base, the older home, then you'll know what I'm talking about. And it's going to have to do with wall hangings, servants' quarters, access in and out of the building, uh, sconces, lighting, things like that. Okay, I'm going to pause it and we're going in. I've already done the tour. I've already walked around, so I know what I want to point out. Okay, so I just came through these doors. This is double panel dooring for HVAC, for maintaining heat and cold. So you'd walk in and there was a little, very small vestibule, only standing room only. I'm in one of the receiving rooms, and when I did the whole tour, you put an audio tour up to your ear, and it's donation only. But when I did the whole tour, I got the specifics of each room. But one thing I wanted to point out: the house I lived in Riverside, was plastered walls, and it was very hard to hang art on the wall. And this is actually how it was supposed to be designed. You see how these pictures have these cords up to the molding? I can't reach that high. But my house in Riverside was the same type of concept where you would hang your art there and you would have these lines that would attach to your artwork and go up to the molding and actually anchor onto the molding. One thing I liked about this room is that in Disneyland, Anaheim, California, there's a club called Club 33. My wife and I had been able to eat there a few times, but this next thing I'm going to show you reminds me of the area we ate at Club 33. So, Julie, if this looks familiar to you, we ate in a little alcove area that looked just like that. A little set out in the pushed out from the main dining room. It was really cool. And there's a picture of in Club 33, Walt Disney sitting in a very familiar setting with him looking over the rivers of America from that set. But that's what I liked about this room. And then here's another example of the molding. And then as you move back to the kitchen, another thing too is the flooring. Our flooring was much like that. We had hardwood flooring when we lived on base. And we actually had, I don't want to call it a servant's quarters, but I'll call it like an military aide, because the house I lived in was actually probably designed for a colonel. And I was an E7 and an E8 master sergeant and senior master sergeant when I was active duty. But we were able to occupy that house because the base was realigned. But the kitchen has been modified because they actually host events here, such as weddings, receptions, whatnot. So they have modernized the plumbing. So the kitchen area is very much modernized. All the lamps in the center of the rooms were ran off of piped gas, natural gas, or some kind of piped gas for lighting, gas lighting. And then all the ones on the perimeter were kerosene. When I was doing the tour, I think this was one of the prep rooms or servants' rooms here. And then something I was going to show you kind of cool. I didn't go up them though. I'm not sure where they'll end up at, but there's a stairway in here. But I went up to the second floor. I didn't see where that stairway ends. It might be blocked off. Now, one more thing reminiscent of my house. You got to see this from the perspective. There's a bunch of people out there. So, in my house, there was a side door, and if my wife Julie's looking at this, she'll understand what I'm talking about. But there was a side door to our house that when you opened it, it would go into the kitchen. This is a side door very similar to the house when I lived on base. So there's a side door. They converted this one into a bathroom for guests right now. But the side door goes into the main part of the house. So as you're walking in, maybe I can do it from this perspective. So you walk into that side door, come down into this vestibule hallway, and for us, you'd turn this direction to get into the kitchen, and then this direction went into our aides, servants' quarters, whatever. Look what I found. Gotta show this. General Crook was known for the Indian Wars, but a compassionate military person. He was compassionate to the plight of the Indians and would be a lot more humane than if you know about how Custer conducted himself with the Indians. I'm walking back out through the kitchen. There's another tour group in here I'm trying to avoid. The loudest tour group just showed up. Oh my God. This guy can't even hear myself think. So I ran upstairs. There's a couple of rooms downstairs I need to show you guys, but I ran upstairs because this group is just insane. I can't even hear myself think. Listen. That's downstairs. I was right next to him, couldn't even hear myself think. This is, real quick, Rutherford B. Hayes, president, stayed here, and so did Ulysses S. Grant. So that's kind of cool being in their footsteps. This is upstairs. This would be, oh man, I forgot if this, I think this is the presidential room. Yeah, this is the presidential guest room. I guess Ulysses, the furniture's period correct, not where Ulysses S. Grant slept, but this would have been the guest room. Those would have been gas lights. So it was known, this is an authentic bearskin rug. It was known that General Crook shot a bear. There's a picture of him, so they put that there. Who knows where that bearskin rug came from? So I'm coming out of the guest room, stairways downstairs. Coming in, this was like the dressing room for his wife. There was a specific name they gave it, but it's only like a walk-in closet. And they say that she spent a lot of time here in the morning prepping for the day, running the house. This is adjacent to her bedroom. And much like the Lincoln house and the Jefferson house, the husband and wives have separate bedrooms. So this is the wife's bedroom. Oh, it's so nice and quiet up here now. I just start shooting at a bad time. But this is would be the wife's bedroom in here. There were some notable things they had pointed out. Really nice furniture. I gotta show you the bathroom. The wife's bathroom. You can barely see it. Yeah, that would be the bathroom for her. Now, as times got modernized and this was used as a modern military installation, they did add showers and plumbing and everything, but they tried to restore it as close to period correct. So she had a door that goes out to the stairway, and then this adjoining door behind me goes into General Crook's room. No, those aren't real ducks. This is a really cool hat. Oh, there was one other thing I was going to show you that would be reminiscent of what our house was like. There was one room we had that had two closets. We never knew why. I'm going to show you why in a second. But this would be the general's room going out to the foyer. But they were explaining it. I'm going to go back to the guest room. And the video was explaining that in guest rooms, for some reason, they put the two closets. So in my house, in Riverside, there's two closets. Closet and closet, but for some reason that was the design, that in the guest rooms they would put two closets. Now the only closets in the room are those two in the guest room and the one in the general's room. So this is some history about how he treated the Indians really well. That's his room. I'm getting confused. This is another bathroom area, not worth going into. This is kind of interesting. Going back into the upstairs servants' quarters. The doorways get smaller. There's 2 steps here, so I hope I don't fall. And you're coming down to the servants' quarters. There were multiple rooms, but because of the modernized HVAC system, heating, air conditioning, ventilation systems, and some other things they had to add, they removed some rooms, removed some bathrooms, and added some things that needed to be added. They added an elevator. I think here's the elevator. So there were a couple of things that they just had to change to make it more feasible, maneuverable for tours like this coming through. So this is the guest bathroom. This is the upstairs bathroom, which they said would be, the upstairs ones would be directly to help out with the personal things for the wife and the husband that lived in here. Then the downstairs ones were just care and taking of the house, cooking and cleaning. And this would have been the bedroom in here. And this bedroom quarters was like a direct aid to the general. And this doorway goes into a stairway. It's not a closet. It goes into the stairway that goes up. Open up this door. It's like a really spooky attic looking thing. That's where all the ghosts are up. No, I'm not going up there. So anyways, that was access to the attic and access to the roof. Okay, good. I'm doing good on time. Another little sitting area. I'll shoot this leaving this area. So I'm leaving the servants' quarters. There's the stairs I'm going to walk up. And hopefully that other group is working their way up here. Boy, they were loud. Now there's one more book room I want to show you. So this was another guest room I just walked into. So across the hall is that changing room and the other guest room. This is another guest room that was said to be used for the distinguished visitor that was staying in that nice one. This is where a couple of people would stay. They made it into a book room. There's some stuff for sale in here. So this was a book room. Now it's a book room, but it was also the quarters where the aides would stay for the people that were visiting. It's kind of big, so I guess they'd have a couple of people staying here. And this might have been their bathrooms. They said originally there were 9 bathrooms in this house. I think there's only 3, and all the showers have been removed. Here's a quick view of the stairs. I'm not going to shoot as walking down, but beautiful staircase. Nice, really good hardwood work. Okay, this is a receiving room where they would have their guests come in. This is what I was going to show you. This is an original. Whoops. But before anybody else comes here, I got to show you this. This is like an original period music box. This is not a reproduction, but they allow you to play it with a nickel. Check this out. It's still playing, you can't turn it off. So anyways, this is where they would receive guests. It's a really nice sitting room. And then going back to, if you remember, if you ever been to the Disneyland, Country Bear Jamboree, I found Buff. That's Buff from the Country Bear Jamboree. And then there's this guy. And then if you've ever been in Club 33 at Disneyland, in the trophy room, all these guys. In the trophy room at Country Bear, or Club 33, the restaurant at Disneyland. There's like the taxidermy room. Yeah, so the cast from the Country Bear Jamboree is here now. So as I wrap this up, I'm just going to do some shots of the basement. I'm in the basement now. This is a lot of local Omaha history and memorabilia. Some things that started here, like Papa John's Pizza. Or I'm sorry, Godfather's Pizza. I know everything you guys are looking at is written backwards because I have it in selfie mode. Apologize for that. But there are just some cool stuff, some pride. You know, one thing about when you're further back east, there seems to be a little more element of pride that I'm experiencing in statehood and state history in these areas back east. There are museums, most museums I've been to will talk about historic things that happened in the period, and then they will talk about certain things that they contributed to their state, their nation, and the society. This is kind of interesting. This is an original 45-star flag, and I apologize, I was rushing, but there was a original handmade Civil War flag upstairs, and I ran right past it, but I'm not going to go back up there to capture it. Warren Buffett apparently was from Omaha. And I hope you like this tour. I know it was rushed through. I think I got everything in here I wanted to. Apparently Buffalo Bill Cody. That's nothing original, it's just a remake of everything. But it's discussing here how Colonel William F. Cody, also known as Buffalo Bill, where he was from Omaha. He has something to do with it. There's some sports notables here. I wouldn't know them. Some boxers, baseball players, football players, some other things. But this basement area that I'm in right now, these were some of the other servant rooms that were taking care of business upstairs, and they were only allowed to access the house from the back stairways and from stairways like this, coming in from like the gardens, coming down into the basement, into these lower areas. They were never seen after a certain threshold from the prep area of the kitchen into the living areas. They were never allowed to go past that. You know, it's funny too, this was built in 1870, or he occupies it in 1870, which is right after the Civil War ends. So who knows how that concept of servants went here. I don't know why, but there's a Godfather thing. Well, anyways, thank you very much. I try to keep these things lower than 20 minutes because I'd get bored watching them too. So enjoy it. I'm with my buddy John Mosier, that was a Prior 701st member. He's out here in Omaha, spending the day with him, hitting some museums. Hope to get on the road, and I should be concluding this trip within 2 to 3 days. All right, everybody, like, subscribe, get out there and enjoy your history that's right outside your front door. Bye-bye.